Hello fellow kaiju fans and kaiju collectors, I'm back for my next review from my most recent collection update. And before I get started on it, I just wanted to go over a couple of things with you guys that are going to be coming up in the next coming months, or things that have already happened already. One of the things is I have now changed my YouTube name. I'm no longer Godzilla Fan 99. I decided to go with Kaijutopia. For one, Godzilla Fan 99 just seems very generic. I mean, I picked that name when I was like 13 or 14 years old, so I figured it was kind of time to just upgrade the name and go for something new. And so one of the things that I had decided on was how could I make it more central, more of a central kind of name. And so I just decided, you know what? Kaijutopia really sounds really good. And it just kind of came to me. It was like a little flash of light that had just come to me, and I was like, you know what, that'll work. So I changed some stuff. Now, if you go to my Facebook page, it's still under the name Godzilla Fan 99. Over the next couple weeks, I am going to work on closing that page down and going to the new page, which is going to be Kaijutopia, obviously. Hopefully, I'll have some custom artwork for it, and it'll be a little bit more like my own kind of thing, like I'm not ripping from other sources. So that's one thing. Also, I'm not really going to review the Blu-ray double packs that I got for Christmas, mainly just because I've already done the reviews for the movies. All that those Blu-ray reviews would serve as is like to find out what my opinions are of the Blu-rays. But really, if you really want to, they're not expensive anymore. Really, they're within like maybe a $5 to $15 price range. You can pretty much buy them all now, and you can see it for yourself. But the only one that I would probably review is 2000 because it includes the Japanese cut. That would be probably the only exception. But as far as that goes, I'm just going to keep moving forward with the stuff. So, yeah, so now that all that news is out of the way, also, one more thing I just thought of. For those of you that have been around my channel for a little while, you may remember back in, I think, 2015, I was thinking of doing a Godzilla stop motion movie. Well, I've decided to go with that plan again, only this time I'm going to, with the hopes of going to G-Fest next year, hopefully put it in the amateur video contest. So, yeah, it's gonna be a longer film than what is actually seen, but I'm gonna have to make the necessary cuts to. I think it's like a 6-minute limit that you can put on there. If any of you guys have been there or put a video in there, let me know. Because, like I said, I would be interested in putting something in next year, which means I would have to really like get my game going in order to have it done in time. So, yeah. So, moving on with the review. My next review out of my collection update was for the NECA figure of Godzilla 1962. Now, this was when I heard about this. Needless to say, I kind of like shit my pants. Like, holy crap, we're actually getting a figure of the 62 suit, because up to that point all anybody really had were the memorial box figures. But when I heard that NECA was putting one out, I said, okay, this won't be too expensive, because also Monster Arts put out theirs. It's a little bit more, looks a little bit more like the suit than this does. I mean, they both look just like the suit, but Monster Arts has more of like the sculpted look, whereas this is sculpted too, but it also still, it's a very good figure for a very good price. So I picked this up, I think it was the week that it came out, actually. I was on a field trip, and sure enough, we were at a shopping center where there was a local Target. So I figured, okay, you know what? I'll go in, see what they have. And sure enough, they had 3 figures of this, which I was shocked. They still had the Shin Godzilla. The 2019 King of the Monsters stuff hadn't come out yet, so they didn't have that in. But no, they had this figure, which I was more than thrilled. I think I paid like $23 or $24 for it, which, yeah, it could have been a little bit cheaper, but at the same time, too, I'm just happy to finally have a figure of the 62 suit, because over the past few years, this has become one of my all-time favorite Godzilla suits. I like how it marries the design and feel of the 54 suit with that of a new design. Like, it gives it a new head, new updated design. And really, for a lot of the 60s posters, this was like the Godzilla suit that they advertised. I know, like, for Mothra versus Godzilla, depending on which poster you look at, some of the posters for that had the 62 suit. And some of the stuff for Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, Invasion of Astro Monster, some of those had their publicity stills and everything. They were featuring this suit. So, yeah, so nonetheless, this is one of my all-time favorites, and to have a figure of it is a blast. So, detailing on this figure is actually really, really good. I mean, they got just about all the bumps and ridges down pat on this figure. It looks awesome. And the, just the spines, the neck, the head obviously looks fantastic. It's got that trademark Godzilla 62 like aerial look. Legs. I mean, everything, right down to the formation of the claws and the hands. It's just stellar. Stellar figure making. And one thing to note when I get into articulation is they've gotten away from the wire tails, because now NECA is dealing directly with Toho, I believe. So they are Toho's got a say in what the Godzilla figures are going to look like. Whereas before it was just kind of like Legendary would be like, okay, yeah, it looks good enough to us, so you can make it. And that's precisely why we got 85 the way we did. That is still one of the more lackluster figures that they've ever put out. This, on the other hand, I would say is probably one of the best figures that NECA's put out in the Godzilla line, with the exception of like maybe the 2014 figure, but they also had the, I believe, the 3D model for it. So, yeah, but like for this figure, 54 looked really good. Unfortunately, I didn't get to grab that. I'm still looking for it, which when I get to the tail discussion, if any of you have the 54 figure, maybe you can clear up one of the like the questions I had about it. But yeah, other than that, this figure looks fantastic. Now I know on the video it may seem like it's got a green tint, and it kind of does have a slight, like a very subtle green coloration to it, but it's nothing that makes it look like, oh, this is like the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla or anything. It still looks like a Japanese, like, it still looks like the Japanese Godzilla we've all come to know and love. So, yeah. As far as articulation goes, he's got a few points. The jaw can open and close, like that. Mine's still a little stiff, which also allows for this, the atomic breath, to be slotted into his mouth. And boom, your Godzilla can breathe this atomic breath. I really love this atomic breath effect too. That's another thing too. If you bump it the wrong way, this is very heavy, so it will most likely tip the head down a little bit. One remedy to this would be to pick up the like a Monster Arts display stand and use that to prop it up. But the head can move on a ball joint. The neck is also on a slight ball joint. The arms can rotate 360 and are also on a ball joint, I believe. Maybe not. It's a very hard ball joint. I really haven't moved this figure much since I bought it. The arms can extend, so if you really wanted to, you could probably get him into the pose from the posters. You would have to like really push the arms up. Yeah, so something like that. You could get him into the pose from the DVD cover of him and Kong in front of the pagoda, which that's like one of the more famous photos from the movie. So yeah, the arms move. You can obviously move the arms in and out. The hands flex, so you can move the fingers, and they also have joints right at the wrist, so you can fold the wrists in too, give them like a kind of a punching pose. Now the waist is supposed to move, like he's supposed to move right at the torso. Mine is very stiff, and I'm kind of afraid to move it because I don't really want to break him. The legs rotate, obviously. Mine are still very stiff. Like I said, I haven't really posed this figure too much, so He's very stiff. The legs can move as well as the feet can rotate, and they are on a slight ball joint. Yeah, it's not much of one, but it's enough that you can still flex them. And the tail, which this is like my favorite part of this figure, is the tail, because it's not a wire tail anymore. It's actually all individual pieces. So this allows for a lot more articulation, and you don't have to worry about moving it too much. So if I want to move it all the way up and down like this, I can without it breaking, without the wire tail breaking like the other figures. So this will create a good thing, like if I ever decide to use this for a stop motion movie, hint hint, more than likely I will. But yeah, it really, really makes for a nice little addition to the figure. It still had to be put in, like any other tail on the NECA Godzillas. You still had to insert it, but it's a lot better now because I'm not afraid of moving it. I can safely say that my 2014 figure's tail has not been moved at all since I bought it. I really haven't. Now, I've already gone over the accessory, which, like I said, I really love that they included the atomic breath, and it actually looks really cool. So, I guess on to sizing now. So, let's size them up with, since I'm speaking of 2014, let's size them up with the 2014 Godzilla. Now, they're both supposed to be 6 inches, but he still somehow eclipses the 2014 Godzilla by a little bit. Now, this figure's also, you're getting a bigger Godzilla represented here in a 6-inch scale, so yeah. But no, I wouldn't really put these two up against each other. Not really in this kind of fashion, because it'd be kind of a weird culture clash, but just for sizing purposes. Now also, just to see if he scales up well at all with the figures from the other like Bandai lines, here he is with the 54 Godzilla. Still very tall versus that particular version of Godzilla. And I think it kind of also all depends on what like character you're using. So like for instance, let me get Godzilla out of the way here, and we'll put Mechagodzilla in. Now, like, Mechagodzilla is kind of like eye to eye with Godzilla. Really, he should probably be like right up to about here. So, yeah, with trick photography, you could actually make him look bigger. And that was something I was thinking, like, if I wound up getting a foe for Godzilla to fight for my stop motion movie that was a little bit shorter than he was, just use like trick photography and make it look like he's actually a little bit bigger. So, yeah, let's get him out of the way. And so yeah, the figure nonetheless is fantastic. I couldn't be happier with it. NECA really blew it out of the ballpark, and I'm really looking forward to if they do any other like I'd love for them to tackle some of Godzilla's villains, like not just the ones from King of the Monsters, but like other Toho monsters in general. Because to be quite honest, I'd love to get a figure of this guy. Absolutely would. Do I see it happening in the near future? No, not necessarily. Maybe sometime down the road? Maybe. I'd also like to just see them tackle some different Godzilla suits. Like 2003, I'd love to get a NECA figure of that, even though I do have that guy right there. I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to see a 74 figure. But I'd also like for them to like bring back some of the figures that they used to make. Like I'd seriously love to get a 54 figure. And I'm really pissed that I missed out on it, but I'm glad that they at least tackled some other Godzilla designs. And this, like I said, as soon as I heard about this, I was like, I gotta grab it. I gotta grab it as soon as it comes out, because otherwise it'll be 54 all over again. I'll just be beating myself up over it. So yeah, all in all, I'd give this figure, with the exception of like some minor. Actually, really, I don't have any real complaints. I'm just happy they made a 62 figure or another Showa figure. So, yeah, all in all, I'd give this figure a 5 out of 5. If you're looking for a cheap and decent Godzilla figure, especially the 62 suit, I'd say go with this one. Because I like the look of this one better than I like the one by Monster Arts. I don't know what it is. The Monster Arts one has that more 62 look, But this one is just, it's just amazing how they managed to pull this off. And details on point, paint is pretty much on point, and also the fact that they came up with a new breath effect for it. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and 5 out of 5, highly recommend.